Have you ever had a moment where something you thought defined you suddenly changed and you realized you had to figure out who you actually were apart from that thing or person? A few years ago, something shifted in my life that I did not choose. A shared part of my world that I had built my identity around was no longer shared. And I won't say it was in that moment, but soon after, I had to really evaluate and ask myself, who am I now? What do I actually believe? What do I do? Where do I go from here? What is actually mine? So that's why today I want to talk about the importance, or why it's important to share your story. Hey, welcome or welcome back. On this channel, we talk about how in life it's not only me and it's not only you, but life's ups and downs are truly universal. So like I mentioned before, today I know it's beneficial to dive into the importance of telling your story. And I want to talk through some points, but if you did not already hear, I shared a little bit about my story. And my story was a story of, well, lots of parts of my story, but one of the most impactful parts of my story was tied to identity, and the identity that was shared for a long time, a long part of my life. I'm not like, I'm up there, but I'm not old to say that it was like 20, 30 years or something. But there are people, and you might be one of them, who your identity is tied to something that you have been doing or have been associated with or have been sharing with someone or community for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years, however many years you've been allowed to experience. Some of those years could be tied to a role or a title or a position or anything in which you now believe that is your identity, or you are locked into saying that I am a this or I am a that. And so I want to talk about the importance of really, number one, thinking through your story and then telling it. Because when you tell your story, you allow yourself to get some footing and to get on a more solid ground, especially if it's something that is considered maybe one of the downs. Like I talked about, ups and downs are universal, but it could be more tied to one of the downs in life. Now, there could be some situations where it's a blast, it's amazing, and you're like, I'm tying my identity to this. And life is cyclical, so you might tie your brand or tie your identity to a very uplifting or inspiring position, title, or experience. But just keep in mind that, you know how the old folks used to say, they just say, just keep on living, just keep on living. Because yes, you can tie your identity to something that is very positive and it's going very well for you. If in my field, we have use cases and we have different scenarios, and so you don't realize that that's a happy path maybe that you're on, and there are exception cases or anomalies that we don't want to tie our identity to. And so it's just helpful to really get some good footing and be able to articulate your story to yourself, so that way you are able to be a bit more fluid and not so glued to these, even if they're 10, 20, 30 years, they can still be considered temporary things. So I want to dive into that today. I'm sorry, don't hang out in people's blind spots. It's not a good idea. Don't do it. As I get too close to somebody. Don't hang out in people's blind spots. That's a life lesson right there. Actually, do not hang out in people's blind spots. Can people see what you're doing? Are the actions that you're taking visible. That's a lot. That's a lot in there. I might have to do something with that. So the first point is that your story can create connection with people. And in this world of AI and technology and systems, it's important for us to be able to maintain and have that person to person, that human connection in ways that technology just cannot do. We have lived experiences and we can empathize and we can relate to one another's shared experiences or life experiences that maybe we do have some relation to, we have some awareness of, or even to be able to say, I went through that, I experienced that, and I see you and I align with you, and that resonates with me. So when you have that story that your own story that you communicate, you're able to connect with people. So my experience, I didn't really feel comfortable just blasting it out to the world while I was living it, while at the beginning of it, at the onset of it. And so I knew that I had to get it out, though. Because I couldn't, it was very stressful and there was a lot of anxiety that was being created because of the situation, just for me. And then I was also juggling another person's emotions and thoughts and anxiety and, feelings as well. So what I did was I just started writing, and that's, telling your story can be done in phases, right? So I just started writing, and I would write out what I was experiencing and what I felt and the changes and everything like that. And then from that point, I would say it out loud, my thoughts, my experiences. And then all along, of course, I'm praying all along, and I'm being very communicative and open with the Lord. I'm being very detailed with the Lord, and I'm pouring my heart out. And I got to a point where I decided to have one-on-one conversations with someone. I did have conversations with, ministers in my church. And then I also would have conversations with different people that I was trying out, different therapists, and just, getting a feel for, therapy, because it was something that you don't fully understand, or you have this overly, I don't want to say optimistic, but overly assumptive experience from therapy, where you're like, therapy is going to fix this and that and this, but it's a means of talking through experiences with someone that is neutral and someone that is bound to be confidential, and typically, that wants to see you improve and grow and overcome the experience that might be plaguing you or consuming you. So I went through those stages, and then I created a YouTube channel for going through life's ups and downs. And I would say that being vocal and talking more about the dynamics of the downs of life, it allowed me to get some footing, and it allowed me to have some stability, and going and being around people that were aware of, what I was experiencing, the change that was occurring, the change that occurred, my identity being tied into people doing something and it changing to one person doing something. Of course, there's other people there, at the church that I was going to, but my experience went from me going there with someone to me going there alone. And that was a big adjustment for me. It really shook me. It shook me to my core. And it could have really been worse for me than it was, but I took the time to think about how can I best go through this experience. And that is when, the writing, and then the speaking to myself, and then speaking to others, in private and then coming onto a platform like YouTube and speaking out the intricacies of navigating difficult experiences and thriving, not just getting through them, but thriving and really breathing again and finding excitement and joy in life, even though life can still be a solo experience and not a shared experience. So my telling my story and being vulnerable has helped me go forward. And that's where I say it can create connection with others, but ultimately you yourself, that connection can even be a form of a liberation where you're not tied to that identity. You are free to move about and connect with others, not necessarily wanting to shrink yourself or minimize yourself, but just opening yourself up in general for connection to occur. Because I know for me, you go through transitions and sometimes you want to isolate, you want to shrink, you want to disappear, you want it to go away, but that's not how life operates. Now, there are people that they do shrink and they do disappear and they do fall off the grid, but ultimately, if your goal is to continue to thrive in life, that option, unfortunately, is not the best one for you. So definitely want to be able to tell your story because it can create connection and it can help you go forward in life. Now, the second point is that your story can create it can create credibility. When you are able to share what you've experienced, you're not speaking from a place of hypotheticals. You're not speaking from a place of, I feel like there's another way to say this. You're not speaking from a place of a hypothetical situation or a theory. This is a lived experience, right? And especially if the outcome is favorable. And a favorable outcome doesn't mean that you got what you want. A favorable outcome could mean that your mindset is more tolerable. Your mindset is more tolerable. Your outlook is improved. You are better. You're better than when you entered in that situation. You are better. And so that gives you credibility, and you speaking about it, now there's awareness. And so being able to speak about your experience and being able to guide someone through an experience, you are a credible resource for someone. You can impart something to someone that they could not get from someone that has never had that experience. Theoretically, yes, someone can say, this is the ideal way to do this. This is the ideal way to X, Y, and Z. But when someone's able to say, hey, I was 300 pounds in December and it's May and I am 193 pounds. Let me tell you how I did it. Well, there's a lived experience that person has, and they have the results, the favorable outcome that you are maybe wanting. And then there's also the person that says, if I were to try to lose weight, here's how I could do it. Okay. Between the two of those, right, which one do you perceive to be more credible? The person that's done it or the person that has researched it and said, here's how you could do it? 9 times out of 10, people are going to go with the person that's done it, right? Do you want the heart surgeon that says, I've done 30 open heart surgeries? Or do you want the surgeon that says, I've read the book on doing open heart surgeries? Schedule your surgery with me. So it's important to really take into account someone going through an experience gives them credibility, because that's something that you can read about, but living it and going through it, there are nuances that theory or hypotheses cannot articulate. They can't predict. They can't come up with. They can't surmise these things. It's really, you've lived it. And I can tell you, hey, on day 7, when you're doing this weight loss thing, you're going to get these X, Y, and Z. And then, here's how you can deal with it. So you can get more practical things from someone that has credibility, that has experience, and that makes them more credible, versus someone hypothesizing or someone having a theory of how to best do this. And the last point is that your story is yours. Your story is irreplaceable. There are shared experiences in life that we can have, right? But there's no duplicate for your upbringing. There's no duplicate for your life. There's no duplicate for your accomplishments. There's no duplicate for your downs in life, your ups in life. Someone having that complete exact makeup is next to impossible. Now, scripture says there's nothing new under the sun. And that's true. That's where you can know that, hey, somebody has experienced this before. They might not have everything that I have in my life, but someone has experienced this before. Segments can be shared. Segments can be duplicated of our life. But the totality, the sum of our entire being cannot be duplicated. I've heard, even from your fingertips, your number of strands of hair, we are unique. Now, there is definitely crossover. Someone's a teacher, somebody else is a teacher. Someone lives on this street, somebody else lives on this street. Someone grew up in this city, somebody else grew up in this city. Yes, there are definitely repeatable or recurring things that we can experience in our separate lives. But to have an identical culmination of experiences from delivery to death, that is rare. And so that is why your story is irreplaceable. And to further expound upon that, your life experiences, yes, someone else could have them. Will they have your same perspective? Highly unlikely. Will they have your same voice, your same tone, your same characteristics, attributes? Very unlikely. So you make up a very unique being, and your experience in life, your story, is also unique, and it cannot be replaced. And what we do sometimes is we will try to wait for the perfect time, wait for the time when my story is complete, wait for my story, it's safe. And I'm a victim of that as well, because sometimes you need to sit with something before you just, but that's the beauty of vlogs, right? Sometimes it's in the now, in the moment, it's happening right now, and you're just flying by the seat of your pants. But then there's some things that are tied to your sanity. There are some things that are tied to your emotional well-being that they do deserve some moments of quiet. They do deserve some reflection, some introspection. They do warrant the need to speak with someone. And those things should be acknowledged, and you should take the time for yourself to really process what's going on, but not to bottle it up and never let it be told, though, because that's a danger as well. We can, like I mentioned, something is traumatic, something's difficult, I need to sit with it, or I need to disappear, I need to go away. But that is avoidance, and avoidance is not your friend. Privacy can help for a time, but complete and utter disappearance or hibernation, that is not your friend, and that is not beneficial for you in the long term. Rest and privacy definitely has its place, and I'm an advocate for both of those, but not for the long term. Sunshine. I love saying sunshine because I have really gained a lot from being in the presence of the sun, being outdoors, really taking in nature and sitting with myself out there in that environment. So just know there's levels to me saying the word sunshine. It's so much more than a nickname or a cute name. It's deeper than that. Know that it's deeper than that. The sun can penetrate us in ways that we can't even imagine. It's so powerful and it does so much good. So when I say sunshine, know there's depth to it. Think about your story. Think about someone that could be experiencing something similar to what you've experienced and what you've come through. And just know that you could definitely help them. You could help them. You could help yourself. So know that the permission slip has been granted. You are permitted to tell your story. We often wait for permission. The word is right there. We wait for permission sometimes, and permission has been granted already. But if you need to hear it, you are permitted. I can't even. You are permitted to enter into the land of storytelling. Tell your story. You might help someone, and you definitely might help yourself. So I encourage you to do that. And if you don't tell it, it doesn't get told. Yeah. That's what I'd like to say. If you don't tell it, it doesn't get told. So, who am I? I am just someone who experienced a shift in my life. In particular, it was a shift that I did not choose. A shared part of my life was that I had my identity tied into was no longer shared. And I chose to keep walking, and I chose to stand up. I chose to embrace myself and move forward, knowing that I was going to be okay. Although there was a deep sense of identity in someone else, I knew I was going to be okay as I went forward. Yeah, you know you're going to be okay as you go forward, because there are moments where you don't think you're going to be okay. So that's who I am. I am someone who went through that, and I came out with something worth sharing, some things worth sharing. That's who I am. Who are you? I'd love to know. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Maybe even give a little prelude to your story down below. Tell me your thoughts. Really look forward to hearing them. And if you have not already, subscribe to the channel, please. Looking forward to hearing from you in the comments and seeing your thoughts, your story, your updates, your comments. And share this video with someone who you believe has a story as well, because sometimes we need a nudge from someone that knows us. So share this video with them and maybe give them that nudge that they may need. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Maybe not right away, but I'm sure they'll appreciate it after they, watch it and give it some time. So I love you so much for watching. My sunshine, go and have an amazing day and start thinking about your story and the impact that it can have. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.